True power isn't given, it's earned through relentless self-mastery and the courage to become exceptional when mediocrity is the norm. Welcome, everyone. Look around you. In a world where average has become acceptable, where comfort zones limit greatness, and where most people drift through life on autopilot, I'm here today to discuss something different. Something radical. The path to becoming truly exceptional. This isn't about quick fixes or overnight success. What I'm about to share with you has transformed the lives of countless individuals who were once exactly where you might be sitting right now. Hungry for more, knowing deep inside that they were meant for greater things, yet unsure of the exact path forward. The high-value man isn't born, he's forged. Through disciplined habits, painful growth, and the courage to make difficult choices when everyone else takes the easy road. The principles I'll share today aren't secrets. They're timeless truths that have built empires, created generational wealth, and commanded genuine respect throughout human history. For the next few minutes, I invite you to set aside your limitations, your excuses, and your comfort zone. Instead, open yourself to possibility. Because the difference between where you are and where you could be is determined by one thing: your willingness to transform yourself into someone worthy of the success you desire. Let's begin this journey together, the journey to becoming the highest value man you can possibly be. The foundation of every high-value man is unshakable self-discipline. While others allow their emotions, circumstances, and temporary discomforts to dictate their actions, the high-value man operates from principle regardless of feeling. This isn't about perfection, it's about establishing complete authority over yourself before attempting to influence the world around you. Self-discipline begins with keeping the promises you make to yourself. When you say you'll wake up at 5 a.m., you do it even when no one is watching. When you commit to a goal, you pursue it relentlessly even when motivation fades. This builds something far more valuable than temporary achievements. It builds self-trust and personal integrity. Consider how most people operate. They set goals on January 1st only to abandon them by February. They start businesses only to quit when obstacles arise. They make commitments only to break them when more comfortable options present themselves. Each broken promise to self creates invisible damage to the most important relationship you'll ever have, the relationship with yourself. The disciplined man understands that freedom isn't the absence of structure, but rather the presence of the right structures. He creates systems that make excellence inevitable. He designs his environment to eliminate temptation rather than constantly battling it. He builds routines that automatically move him toward his goals even on days when willpower is low. This level of discipline becomes a form of compound interest for your life. Each small act of self-mastery builds confidence for larger challenges. Each kept promise strengthens your self-concept as someone who finishes what they start. Each victory over immediate gratification develops your capacity to defer rewards, the very skill that separates the wealthy from the perpetually struggling. The truly disciplined man doesn't require external motivation because he's internalized the ultimate truth. The pain of regret is far greater than the pain of discipline. He knows that temporary discomfort is the price of admission to an extraordinary life. While others seek shortcuts and easy paths, he embraces the difficult, knowing that the obstacles are the way forward, not barriers to be avoided. A high-value man understands that financial mastery isn't just about making money, it's about understanding how money works. While most people chase higher paychecks, the financially intelligent focus on building systems that generate wealth without trading more time. They recognize the fundamental truth that the wealthy don't work for money, they make money work for them. Financial intelligence begins with shifting your relationship with money. Rather than seeing it as something to be spent, you view it as seeds to be planted. Every dollar is a potential employee that can work 24/7 generating more resources for you. This mindset transformation is what separates those who will always need to work from those who create true financial freedom. The financially intelligent man lives significantly below his means, not from scarcity, but from strategy. He understands that controlling expenses isn't deprivation, it's empowerment. By maintaining a substantial gap between income and spending, He creates the capital necessary for investments that build generational wealth. While others finance liabilities that drain their resources, he acquires assets that fill his pockets while he sleeps. Beyond simply investing, the high-value man creates multiple streams of income. He knows that reliance on a single source creates vulnerability. Whether through business ownership, real estate, intellectual property, or market investments, he builds systems that continue producing when he's not present. He becomes indispensable in his primary work by solving expensive problems, creating leverage through systems and teams rather than working harder. Financial mastery also requires understanding the rules of the game. The financially intelligent study tax codes not to evade responsibility but to legally minimize liabilities. They structure their affairs to take advantage of the incentives built into financial systems. They learn to read financial statements as fluently as others read novels, recognizing that numbers tell stories about opportunities and risks. Most importantly, the high-value man views wealth not as an end but as a means, a tool for creating impact, security, and options. He doesn't chase money for status or approval, but for the freedom it provides to make choices based on principles rather than necessity. His relationship with money is mature, intentional, and ultimately, transformative for himself and those around him. The ability to communicate effectively is perhaps the most undervalued asset in a high-value man's arsenal. While technical skills may open doors, it's communication that allows you to walk through them and captivate the room. The man who masters language, written, verbal, and nonverbal, holds a power that transcends his other capabilities. Elite communication begins with listening, not the passive hearing that most engage in while waiting for their turn to speak, but active, empathetic listening that seeks to understand before being understood. When you truly listen, you gather intelligence about needs, motivations, and opportunities that others miss entirely. The high-value man listens with his entire being, eyes, ears, and intuition all engaged to gather the complete message being transmitted. Your words carry immense power when chosen carefully. The communicative master speaks with precision, eliminating filler words, weak qualifiers, and unnecessary apologies that undermine authority. He understands that confidence is conveyed not just through content but through delivery, through measured pacing, strategic pauses, and vocal tonality that commands attention. He speaks less than others but says more, recognizing that scarcity creates value in communication just as in economics. Physical presence communicates before words ever leave your mouth. The high-value man cultivates commanding body language, strong posture, deliberate movement, appropriate eye contact, and a physical presence that fills the room without dominating it. He recognizes that humans are primarily visual creatures who make judgments based on nonverbal cues that often override verbal content entirely. True communication mastery extends to difficult conversations, the ability to address conflict directly without aggression, to negotiate effectively without surrender, and to persuade without manipulation. Rather than avoiding tension, the high-value man navigates it skillfully, understanding that properly managed conflict often leads to the greatest opportunities and strongest relationships. Perhaps most importantly, elite communicators tailor their message to their audience. They recognize that effective communication isn't about expressing yourself, it's about creating understanding in others. They adapt their vocabulary, examples, and approach based on who's receiving the message. This empathetic approach to communication doesn't compromise their message, but rather ensures it lands with maximum impact. The marketplace rewards those who solve problems, not those who simply show up. The high-value man understands that entitlement is poison to progress. Instead of asking what the world owes him, he constantly asks what value he can create that others would gladly pay for. This fundamental shift in mindset, from consumption to contribution, changes everything. Value creation begins with developing rare and valuable skills. While many chase credentials, the truly valuable man chases competence, the ability to deliver results that matter. He doesn't merely learn, he masters. He doesn't just practice, he performs at levels that make him indispensable. He combines skills in unique ways that allow him to solve problems others can't, creating a professional moat that protects his position and income from commoditization. The value-first mindset extends beyond skills to attitude. The high-value man does more than expected without immediate expectation of return. He volunteers for challenging projects others avoid. He solves problems before being asked. He improves systems without prompting. This isn't about being taken advantage of, it's about building a reputation as someone who consistently delivers excellence. That reputation becomes a currency more valuable than money. This approach creates a virtuous cycle of opportunity. When you consistently deliver outsized value, people notice. Doors open. Recommendations flow. Price resistance diminishes. What others call luck is often the natural result of putting so much value into the marketplace that it has no choice but to reward you. The high-value man makes himself impossible to ignore by making himself invaluable. Creating value requires understanding problems deeply. Most people offer superficial solutions because they've only done superficial analysis. The value creator digs deeper, asking better questions, understanding root causes, and addressing fundamental issues rather than symptoms. He becomes a problem-solving machine, constantly refining his ability to identify what's truly needed versus what's merely requested. Perhaps most powerfully, the value-first mindset creates leverage. When you become known as someone who delivers consistently extraordinary results, you earn the right to negotiate from strength. You don't need to demand recognition. It comes naturally. You don't need to fight for opportunities. They seek you out. You don't need to justify your worth. Your results speak volumes that no words could match. No man rises to greatness alone. The high-value man understands that his net worth, influence, and opportunities are directly tied to his network. While average men socialize, high-value men build strategic relationships with purpose and intention. They recognize that who you regularly associate with shapes who you become, what you learn, and which doors open for you. Quality trumps quantity in network building. 5 deep connections with extraordinary achievers will transform your life more than 500 casual acquaintances. The high-value man seeks relationships with those who challenge him, who operate at levels beyond his current position, who possess knowledge, resources, and perspectives he doesn't yet have. He doesn't fear being the least accomplished person in the room. He welcomes it as an opportunity for accelerated growth. True networking isn't transactional, it's transformational. Instead of asking what others can do for him, the high-value man asks what he can do for others, especially those currently beyond his level. He becomes a giver first, providing value, making connections, offering insights, and supporting others' goals without immediate expectation of return. This counterintuitive approach creates goodwill and reciprocity that eventually returns multiplied. Network building requires showing up consistently. The high-value man invests time and resources in being where valuable connections happen: industry events, masterminds, charity functions, selective social gatherings. He recognizes that opportunity rarely knocks on your door. You must go to where opportunity gathers. While others complain about not knowing the right people, he deliberately puts himself in rooms where the right people congregate. Maintaining a powerful network demands communication excellence. The high-value man follows up promptly, remembers important details about his connections, celebrates others' wins, and stays relevant in their minds through periodic meaningful contact. He doesn't reach out only when he needs something. He nurtures relationships during neutral periods, building reserves of goodwill before they're needed. Perhaps most importantly, a high-value man brings people together. He becomes a connector, introducing individuals who can benefit each other. This creates a powerful position as someone who adds value to the entire network, not just to himself. By helping others connect and succeed, he builds a reputation as someone worth knowing, someone who makes the entire ecosystem stronger through his presence. The moment you stop growing is the moment you begin dying. The high-value man recognizes that comfort is the enemy of greatness. While others relax once they achieve initial success, he knows that what got him here won't get him there. He embraces continuous, deliberate improvement not as a temporary project but as a permanent way of life. Growth begins with radical self-awareness. The high-value man regularly examines his strengths, weaknesses, blind spots, and biases without self-deception. He actively seeks feedback, not just from those who will praise him, but from those who will tell him uncomfortable truths. He measures himself not against others but against his potential, constantly asking if he's becoming the best version of himself possible. Learning becomes a non-negotiable daily practice. While others consume entertainment, the growth-oriented man consumes knowledge. He reads voraciously, studies his craft obsessively, and exposes himself to ideas outside his field to create innovative connections. He invests heavily in his education. Courses, mentors, coaches, and experiences that expand his capabilities, viewing these not as expenses but as investments with the highest possible return. The commitment to growth requires embracing discomfort. The high-value man deliberately puts himself in challenging situations that stretch his capabilities. He takes on projects slightly beyond his current abilities. He engages in conversations with those who disagree with him. He travels to unfamiliar places that challenge his perspectives. He recognizes that growth happens at the edge of comfort, not within its boundaries. True growth demands accountability. The high-value man doesn't just set goals. He creates systems to ensure their achievement. He establishes metrics to track progress. He builds relationships with those who will hold him to his highest standards. He makes public commitments that create positive pressure for follow-through. He doesn't allow himself the luxury of excuses or rationalizations when he falls short. Perhaps most profoundly, the growth-oriented man embraces failure as education rather than avoiding it as embarrassment. He takes intelligent risks knowing that lessons come from both success and failure. When he falls, he doesn't wallow. He extracts the lesson, adjusts his approach, and moves forward with new wisdom. This resilience in the face of setbacks is what ultimately separates those who achieve greatness from those who merely dream of it. Becoming a high-value man isn't about perfection. It's about progression. It's about waking up each day committed to being better than you were yesterday. The path I've outlined isn't easy, but nothing of true value ever is. The principles of self-discipline, financial intelligence, communication mastery, value creation, network building, and continuous growth aren't just strategies. They're a philosophy for living that transcends mere success. Remember that true power doesn't come from dominating others but from mastering yourself. Real wealth isn't measured just in dollars but in options, the freedom to live according to your highest values. And genuine respect can't be demanded. It can only be earned through consistent character and contribution. The journey to becoming a high-value man is perhaps the most worthwhile endeavor you can undertake, not just for what it will bring you, but for who it will force you to become. The man who commits to this path discovers something profound. The external rewards, though significant, pale in comparison to the internal transformation. You become someone you can be deeply proud of, someone whose word is bond, whose presence changes rooms, and whose impact outlasts his lifetime. The question isn't whether these principles work. History has proven they do. The only question is whether you have the courage to apply them consistently when others won't. The path is clear. The choice is yours. And your future self is watching, hoping you'll make the decision to begin today. Before we conclude, I want to express my deepest gratitude for your time and attention. Your presence here today isn't accidental. It speaks to something within you that recognizes your potential for more. That hunger for growth puts you ahead of 95% of people already. Thank you for investing in yourself through this message. But remember, knowledge without action is merely entertainment. The real work begins when you leave here and begin implementing these principles in your daily life. I'm honored to have shared this time with you, and I look forward to hearing the stories of transformation that will come from this room as you apply what you've learned. Remember, becoming a high-value man isn't a destination. It's a journey of continuous evolution. And that journey begins now. Thank you.